So I think one thing which constantly informs us at ICHK is positive psychology. And we act on that through the concept of PERMA, which is essentially the science of happiness, equipping our kids to cope with the ups and downs of life and realise that any emotive state can change and it's okay. And how to use technologies around them to foster their learning, their resilience in the world, and find that meaning that we're all looking for. I think the reason that positive psychology and positive education has become so important in the last probably 2 decades and is finally being picked up by some schools is the rates of our attention being taken by media, by electronic devices that are constantly asking us for things, and the fact that our workplaces don't have a clear finish anymore. So your ability to guide your attention, manage your different emotive states is increasingly important. And if we don't equip young people to do that from early on in their education, it's very difficult to expect them to make those changes and realization as adults. One of the main benefits for students to be taught a positive psychology program in schooling is that it fundamentally supports their academics. For a student to be able to recognise the emotive state that they're in at the beginning or the end of a beautiful piece of poetry, for them to be able to gauge how much they are in the flow when they're walking up to a microscope, for them to understand that a music lesson, a science lesson, a math class is each going to require a little different way of them interacting with it, and for them to know and see those changes in themselves is very, very important to knowing yourself. And if we look broader at the spectrum of life, we know in ourselves that there are aspects of our relationships, our careers, that are challenging for us or rewarding for us. And we know when things become unsustainable that it can end poorly. So the better equipped a young person is to understand these facets of themselves, to know when something is becoming unsustainable, and then have the skills, the technology, the ability to alter it in some fashion, is amazingly important, not only for their academics, but for their wellness in life. We build positive psychology and PERMA into the curriculum in a number of aspects. So one aspect is that our staff have actually undergone PD training at the beginning of the year in PERMA. What is it? We run a deep learning series for Year 7 students where they have 4 days dedicated to deep learning, dedicated to PERMA. And during that time, we talk about what it means to be grateful. Why is it that sharing a meal fosters relationships? The act of thanking someone and the power of that. Seeing that our emotive states change in response to different things. So we now have Year 7s who are walking around the school with a existential understanding of their happiness and actually a way to address it. And we're gradually building that through the tutorial program in the school, where students are exploring what is normal, what is resilience, what is mental health, and unpacking how that informs the other aspects of their academics and their life. And more so, we encourage kids to talk. There is, if anything, a great strength to someone who can open up and say, I need some help with this. And we encourage students to look out for each other. I often have young people come up to me and say, hi Mr. D, so-and-so is having a tough time. Could you check on them? And the fact that they do that, I think, is beautiful and really shows how much this resonates within our school. And the fact that we can then offer them a range of support through teachers, through counsellors, through contacting parents, just taking a bit of the stress off, means that we have mentally healthy, resilient kids who learn better. I think the approach from ICHK is different to a number of other schools in Hong Kong, fundamentally in that we believe it. We actually do it, as opposed to sort of paying, I guess, a little bit of light service to aspects of mental health, and occasionally telling kids it's okay to meditate or it's okay to be a little bit upset. But then they go back and they apply the pressure again and again and again, and they don't actually adjust the system for those positive psychology and PERMA aspects to really live within the school. We do. It's informing the way we design our lessons. I look at a lesson and ask myself, where's the romance? Where's the engagement for this student? Am I getting something fun out of it myself? An important part is for our teachers to be passionate about it as well. So if I'm coming to every lesson, designing it in that fashion, I'm asking my students for feedback on their experience with it. I'm able to continuously alter, refine my teaching lessons. And when students come to us from other schools in Hong Kong, we've had many that are a bit burnt out and broken. They've come to us for a different style of education, often to do with supporting their mental health. And we're seeing happy kids. We're seeing kids who are actually going back to learning happily, regularly, in our classrooms and smiling. And they weren't doing that 6 months before they came to ICHK.